I would go as far as to say like that's one of the coolest ones. Hey guys, I am so excited for today. As you can tell by the title, we are officially back with another episode of my London bookshop tour. This is officially episode 3, autumn edition. For anyone that hasn't seen the first 2 episodes, I am basically exploring all of London's best bookshops, whether those are giant flagships or small independents or secondhands. I'm finding the best of the best so that you know where to go if you ever visit. So far, we've done one in spring, one in summer, and this is officially the autumn edition. It is a beyond beautiful autumnal day today. The sun is shining, which is exactly what we want. So far on our tour, we've done some North London, we've done some Central London, and today we're heading west. I am also very pleased to say that today all of the shops that we're visiting are all independent bookshops, and one of them I've been looking forward to going to for so long. The concept of it is perfect. Okay, maybe I'll just spoil it for you now. It's called BookBar or the BookBar. I'll look up the actual name of it, but it's basically a bookshop that also is a bar. You can sit and have a glass of wine while you read your book, or I think they've got a barista as well, so you can sit and have a coffee. It sounds like the perfect place to go with girlfriends. I wish I was going with friends today, but I'm seeing this as like my scout. I'm scouting everything out, and then I can book besties trips to go back if it really is as good as it sounds that you can sip wine and read your books. Oh, in a lovely setting. Similar to all the other episodes, we're going to visit 3 bookshops today in the west of London. No idea how much damage we're going to do book buying wise, but hopefully I'll give you a haul of the books that I buy when we get back. I have got a few on my radar, but mostly I'm just going to be like looking for a bit of inspo. Because it's the autumn edition, obviously we're going to have to get some autumn themed lovely drink. Need my Kindle for the train. I'm currently in the middle of a book, which I'll tell you a bit about. Maybe whilst we're on the train and we're traveling, maybe also need to find an audiobook to listen to whilst I'm actually browsing the books. Right, okay, let's just head straight out. Pray this sunny weather holds out when it doesn't start raining. Let's go spend our day lost amongst bookshelves, exploring other worlds. Oh, I'm so excited, let's go. So obviously you have to have books to read to entertain yourselves on journeys, and at the moment I'm reading The Book of Asriel by Amber Nicole. Guys, I have to be real with you, okay? The writing of this book is like kind of killing me. I'll give you more details about it another time, like probably once I finished it. I was so close to DNFing it the first 30%. The writing is, I don't mean to be, I hate being a hater, but the writing is so bad. Just one sec, sorry, they keep making announcements. The writing is so bad and like so cringy. Like at one point, the female main character says something along the lines of like, I didn't even get a chance to see if my funny quip landed or something. And I was like, you're referring to your own funny quips? Like, I don't know, some of it is just so cringy. This is the first time I've ever felt the urge to properly skim a book, because I really like the story. I'm super invested in the whole concept of it literally being about gods versus monsters, but the writing is getting in the way so much. Like I literally am dying to skip. Anyway, sorry. I'm now at 45% and I'm definitely like getting into the story now. I'm not going to DNF it for a while like I really was going to DNF it. I guess I still could at some point, but right now I'm invested. So we'll see how we go, but it's got such a high rating on Goodreads. But the writing is killing me. It's so clunky. It sounds to me like someone's written in their notes app like what they want their book to be like, and then at this point she'll think she said something really funny, so she'll smirk. But like those words are written down, so she'll be like, oh yeah, that was really funny what I just said. Haha. I don't know. I can't do it. Anyway, I'm going to keep reading because, like I said, I think the fantasy world is really cool, and I am really enjoying like the plot and like I said, the world, the stories, the fact that it's gods versus monsters. I think is super interesting. Anyway, all these announcements are driving me crazy because I keep having to stop talking. So okay, I'm going to keep reading, and I'll see you when we get there. Bookshop one down. I'm actually in like a very busy coffee shop, so hopefully you can hear me okay. But Bookshop one down, John Sandoe was so cool. Like, I would go as far as to say like that's one of the coolest ones I've visited actually since I've started this whole tour. It's actually also much colder today than I thought it was going to be, so I've stopped for a little coffee. I did want to get one of Blank Street's like super fun autumnal matchas. I'm like still trying to get on the matcha hype, and they had one that was called like an apple butter matcha, which I'm sorry, but apple butter sounds delicious, but I don't know if I want like butter in a drink. I'm sure they don't put actual butter in it, like surely, but I just couldn't wrap my head around apple butter, even though like apple butter on a pancake, hell yeah. Apple butter in a coffee or a matcha, I'm not sure about that. Anyway, instead I went for a pistachio latte. So I've got an oat milk pistachio latte, and I've had like a tiny sip. So far it just tastes like coffee. Let's give it another try. It's nice. I don't know, I'm not getting loads of pistachio right now. Maybe the pistachio is all at the bottom or something, but to be honest, just a warming coffee is exactly what I want. I've now got quite a long walk. Well, it's not a long walk in the grand scheme of things. It's only a long walk because it's so cold all of a sudden. The sun is gone and it's cloudy and now it's just freezing. We've got a 20-minute walk to the next one, which is World's End Books, or World's End. I'll look up how you spell it exactly, like World Ends Books or something like that. And it's like a 20-25-minute walk all the way down the King's Road to basically the other end. So I've got myself my warm pistachio coffee. Yum. I'm going to carry this with me. I'm not listening to an audiobook at the moment. I'm actually just listening to some podcasts and music and vibing and having such a nice time. Oh, I probably should have said this at the beginning. I have bought a couple of books. I really do want to support indie bookshops more. Like when I did my last indie bookshop tour, I don't know if I actually bought any books in any of the shops because the indie bookshops that I went to just felt like very overwhelming and I didn't know how to actually pick out a book. This time I've succeeded and I've got some stuff to haul already, so I'm going to try and do the same in the next two bookshops as well so that I actually support them, not just by like talking about them but also actually like physically funding them with money. I've chatted to you for a couple of minutes so I can warm up a little bit, but I think, to be honest, I just need to keep going, get to the next pit stop, because to be honest, I'm so pumped to get to BookBar, and then I think once I get to BookBar, I'll like properly like chill out in there, read my book for a bit. Hopefully like there's seats. I don't really know the setup in there, but I think you're meant to like just chill and vibe in there with a book, so hopefully I'll do that when I get there. Anyway, on to the next stop. I'm so disappointed that that third bookshop was closed, as if I didn't do my research. I mean, the truth of all of it is that there are just, this is going to be too bold of a statement and people will come for me, but there's just not that many independent bookshops, or it really feels like all the independent bookshops are dying. And I don't know what we do about that. I mean, I have tried so many times now to like do research. I really want to be able to visit local independent bookshops to me, so that when I do my normal book shopping, when I pop out to the bookshops, just as part of, you know, normal life and not going into the city and doing a big tour of cool ones, I can just support a local independent. And like, there just aren't any. There used to be one that was close to me. It had to close during lockdown because it wasn't making enough money. They just all seem to be closing. Which is sad. Anyway, so I'm sorry we only got to 2 bookshops. I'm so sad that we only got to 2. But I will say those 2, some of the best that I've been to across all 3 episodes that we've done so far. John Sandoe felt like it felt kind of like stepping into a different point in time, / it was just every time you read about like a cluttered bookshop that's just like filled to the brim with books, and there's all these like nooks and crannies and like little windy staircases, and it was just exactly that like very quintessential British overcrowded bookshop in just the most lovely way. And there was actually, like, it was not too difficult to shop in there. Sometimes these indie or especially secondhand bookshops that I've been to, it's actually super hard to shop in there. You really need to know exactly the book that you're going for and then try and hunt for it. Or you need to be really open-minded and like not mind whether you come away with like a history of medieval England or a cowboy romance. Like, you know, like the spectrum is so wide and it feels like everything is all bunched in together. But John Sandoe, the organisation in there just kind of made sense, and I really, really recommend it. And in terms of like a London trip, John Sandoe is the one that's closest to Sloane Square station. So if you're doing other things and you're not spending your entire day along the King's Road, then John Sandoe is a good one to pop to. BookBar is much further down the other end. The King's Road is a very long road. It probably takes you 35 minutes if you were going to really, maybe half an hour, 35 minutes I'd say, if you're going to walk all the way from one end to the other. So it is a very long road. BookBar was further down the other end, but it was so perfect. The way I need to plan like a besties trip with some people in person together. I wonder if you can like, imagine if we could do like a in-person book club for just anyone that is around London or would be willing to travel to London. And I wonder if because they had like this board of all these events up, it would be so cool to be able to just like have an event there, or to be able to rent it out, or for like just anything, like birthdays, or like to be able to do like a work Christmas party from there or something. It was just such a lovely space. All the sofas and the chairs were all so incredibly comfortable, and I mean, not that this matters, but it was just filled with women. Like there was only women in there, and it just felt like such a lovely space. Not like a massive bookshop in terms of books, like quantity of them, but the selection they had in there was really nice. I'm definitely going to be going back there. In fact, because I'm definitely going to be going back to both of them. They're such a nice 2 to do in succession with each other. I do think World's End Books, which now I've like noticed that it's called World's End Books because at World's End, like World's End is that area at the end of King's Road and then like leads on. I do think that one looked like it was going to be the worst of the 3 and more just, I don't know how to describe it, but it didn't look like there was anything especially like the John Sandoe one. Felt very cool and very old and like honestly pretty iconic. And then BookBar was like very contemporary but really cool in a different way. World's End didn't look like it had loads going on, but that might be really unfair because I obviously haven't been inside. So at least in my opinion, I feel like I'm being too harsh, but like the worst of the 3 was the one that we couldn't go to. Okay, that is me done gushing about the actual bookshops. Now let's just talk a little bit before we haul about a bit of an itinerary. First of all, let me just say, I have spent so much of my life on the King's Road. Growing up, it's where I go shopping. When I used to live in Clapham Junction not that long ago, it was like a 15-minute drive for me up to the King's Road. So I spent a lot of time on that road, and it is such a lovely place to go and just spend the day. I do especially think it's lovely in spring, summer. There are so many shops outside of bookshops. They just have absolutely everything. All the Christmas stuff in Anthropology. Anthropology is like Christmas has fully arrived, but there's so many lovely, like fantastic shops along there that are a real mix of like independent boutiques and all your big main chain stores. There's like, you know, Anthropology, Lululemon, M&M, there's a big Zara, there's a John Lewis that obviously has everything in it that you could possibly need. Honestly, there is like everything. There's an Astrid and Miu, so there's like jewellery shops as well. There's a Monica Vinader, there's like everything along there. There's a Space NK for beauty. So you've got excellent like shopping from that perspective. You've also got lovely, lovely cafes and restaurants. I especially recommend Vardo. Vardo does great breakfast. It's the one that's got all the seating around the outside. It's kind of like a dome-shaped restaurant that's just on the edge of Duke of York Square. They do great coffees, great breakfasts, all like their salads are really good as well. All the food there is really good. There's also a market just next to it on Saturdays, which is really good and has so many like donuts and pastries and sweet treat things. So if you're going to do a Saturday book shopping trip, then I would highly recommend maybe breakfast at Vardo, go do all your book shopping, then pop to the market, get yourself a sweet treat. And then what you could do after that is walk all the way down the other end, right to where like almost where World's End Books is. And near there you've got Bluebird Cafe, which again has lovely outdoor seating. There's also a restaurant inside. That's kind of like a fancier meal if you then wanted to do like a posher dinner or a special occasion thing. That's where like historically all the Made in Chelsea lot just lived in that place. And I remember when I was growing up, like you could basically just always find a cast of Made in Chelsea if you went to Bluebird, and like that's right at the other end. Alternatively, saving the very best for last, after you've done all your book shopping, if you want somewhere to have a sit down, to get a coffee, to get an ice cream, to get a burger, just to get some sustenance, go to Pavilion Road. Stick it in your Google Maps. It's just off of the King's Road. It's called Pavilion Road. I think of it as like Chelsea's probably like worst kept secret, because I think you do know about it if you know about it, but I think for tourists or anyone that like doesn't spend a lot of time in the area, you wouldn't really know it's there. You can't see it from the main road. You wouldn't like, it's almost like a back street that you wouldn't wander to unless you knew it was there. And it's just lovely. I mean, the road itself is beautiful. There's wine bars, there's coffee shops, there's an ottolenghi there if you want to like have some healthy salads that are always delicious. It's just such a gem of a spot that feels a bit like you've stumbled across. It's just lovely. It's just a lovely, lovely spot. Like I said, especially in spring and summer. But equally, this is obviously the autumn edition and I had the loveliest time. So those were my recommendations if you want to do London bookshop tour, but like West London version, and you want it to be a little bit more than book shopping. I would also say that this one is a really good one to do in terms of like a little itinerary if you're with people that aren't necessarily bookish. So if you're out and about or you've got a day out in London with somebody else that doesn't necessarily care about the bookshops as much as you maybe do, then the King's Road and just that whole area has so much to offer for everybody. And you can just pop into John Sandoe and I think they'd find that really cool anyway, and then you could take them to BookBar and have a little drink in there together, and then it doesn't really matter if they don't like books. So I think this one is like such a good mix of stuff to do for a lovely day out in London. Anyway, enough on the itinerary and enough on the bookshops. Let's talk about the books that I bought. So I did a little haul. More damage than I thought I was going to do, but not as much as I almost like hoped to do if we'd visited all of the stops, and maybe I would have done like a little bit more damage in John Sandoe had I known that World's End was going to be shut. But anyway, I got 4 books, so let's talk about them. Up first in John Sandoe, I got Emma by Jane Austen. I was slowly collecting these like cover versions. I need to work out like what these ones are actually called, but I'm slowly collecting all of these versions of the classics, and I'm kind of just starting off with my favourites. I didn't study English literature at university or anything like that. I loved it at school. But I think Emma gets a bit of hate as not Jane's best work. But yeah, I really enjoy Emma, and I think an independent bookshop is a great place to invest in the classics from. And just to show you what these versions look like, so we've obviously got the cover, which I believe this is a portrait of Jane Austen herself. Portrait of Jane Austen, the Rice portrait. 1792 to 1793, oil on canvas. So that is what the dust jacket looks like, and then it is a green cloth-bound book, Everyman's Library. So pretty plain and classic. I always find that these classics have such thick margins, but this is what it looks like. Very happy with my copy of Emma, and my classics actually live downstairs in the living room and not in the book room, so excited to add this to my shelves downstairs. I really need to do a stint of rereading the classics at some point. Next, I picked up the hardback version of My Friends by Frederick Buckman. I think it's probably ridiculous at this point that this is the 3rd book of his that I've bought, having never read any of his work, which, now that I think about it, could be a sign that I'm going slightly insane. I, for some reason, just really think I'm going to enjoy this one. Believe that this is a painting of 3 boys in a swimming pool, and then the story follows. Somebody sees the painting, I think, and then they go and try and find out the story of the boys within the painting or something like that. But I just really think I'm going to enjoy this one. Anyway, I just really need to get reading some of his work because it's getting ridiculous at this point. What if I read the first book of his and I'm just like, nah, his writing style's not for me, don't vibe with it, and I've bought 3 books. I mean, it's really ridiculous. But anyway, Emma and my friends are the 2 that I got from John Sandoe, and then I also got 2 little bookmarks. They gave me like a bookmark per book, so very fun. John Sandoe, proudly independent since 1957. And the bookmark is actually so cute because it really does look and feel like that. It feels like a proper family run. Don't know if it is family run, but it does feel like a cluttered house in that way. Cute. Okay, then obviously BookBar. From BookBar, the first book that I got was The 7 Husbands of Evelyn Hugo. I have already read this. There are so many literary fiction books that I read before I started doing Booktube type stuff. Pretty much all I read was literary fiction, and at some point I really need to update my Goodreads with all of those books. Let me know if you'd be interested in like my recommendations list of just like lit fic stuff that I recommend. But this would be a 5-star, like this is a 5-star book for me. I think I can just confidently say that because I remember how much I loved it, and I didn't have a copy of it because pre-Booktube Ellen only read on her Kindle exclusively, so I don't have physical copies of like nearly anything. But I really needed a copy of 7 Husbands. So now I've got a copy of 7 Husbands, Daisy Jones and Carrie Soto, and I'm still missing a copy of, I've obviously got Atmosphere, 7 Husbands, Daisy Jones, Carrie Soto. What am I forgetting? Oh, Malibu Rising. I've got a copy of that as well. Oh, so I now have a copy of everything. That's very satisfying. Cool. Now I've got copies of all of my Taylor Jenkins Reid books, which I love all of them. And then the final book that I got, which I'm extremely satisfied about because it was actually on my TBR for the season and I haven't been able to find it in any Waterstones, is Immortal Dark. I have to say, I don't know if it's like the American cover or there's just like lots of different covers, but I kind of prefer the cover that's like the picture of the house, like the red one. I just think that feels more vampire-y to me than this pink, but had to get it because I saw it, so I had to get it. And this is a story, I think I've mentioned it a couple of times now, but it's the story about a girl who, in order to fulfill the stipulations of a will, she needs to go and move into a house and live in it for a certain amount of time before she'll be allowed to have it. She goes there and there's a vampire living in it, and this vampire's like, hey now, this place has been abandoned for ages, this is my house now. And she's like, no, 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 this is my house now. And he's like, no, no, this is my house now. And then the 2 of them have to they choose to co-live there because she's like, I'm not leaving, otherwise I can't inherit this house. And it's like a family thing. And he's like, well, I'm not leaving because this is my house. That's all I know. Probably done that a complete disservice, but I think that sounds like a lot of fun. And as far as I understand it, it's a series. So I think it probably ends on a little bit of a cliffhanger. Yeah, the sequel, Eternal Ruin. I wonder when that is coming out. Oh yeah, a lost heiress, a soulless vampire, a secret drenched in blood. Very excited about this one. Oh, and then BookBar obviously gave me a couple of little bookmarks from them as well, which are also just so fun. But anyway, there we have it. That is the haul. 2 out of 4 to go on the TBR shelf. The other 2 are just trophies. As always, thank you so much for watching. I'm sorry that we didn't get to as many bookshops as we normally do. Like I said, I looked for other independents near where I was and there were just none, which is so sad. But I will make it up to you when we do the next iteration of this, and we'll definitely hit 4 for the next iteration, which is going to be winter. I think winter in general is kind of a bit of a miserable concept unless it's festive. So I'm thinking I'm going to make the winter edition, the final seasonal edition of this, a festive one. I think it's got to be a Christmassy bookshop tour to be the winter version of this, which will be so much fun. Let me know if there are any London bookshops that you've ever heard of that you want me to visit and vlog and show you. I'll see if I can find any others that I think are really worth a scout. If not, maybe we'll do a bit of a revisit of the best of the ones we found so far. Final request from me, I've actually just popped a poll up on like the community section of this page. Please go vote in that poll. It's for a reading vlog. You guys need to choose one of the books that I read, so go have your say. Out of the 3 that I've put there, which one you most want to see me read in the reading vlog. Power's officially in your hands because at this rate we're not making it through the entire October TBR, so over to you to choose what we read. Thank you so much for hanging out with me. I hope you're in the middle of such a lovely book and I cannot wait to see you in the next one. Bye guys.